In 1835, physicist Gaspard Gustave Coriolis wrote a significant but little-read book. And yes, it is that Coriolis, the one who described the Coriolis effect, which describes how rotation affects moving objects. His book was a complete and thorough description of the physics of billiards. And through that book, he damned physics students for the next 200 years to exam problems describing the vectors that result when two balls collide. The first computer physics simulations were artillery, and we don't know what the second one was, but I have to think that billiards was up there. It's an easy game to reduce to a simple model. The balls can be treated as infinitely rigid point masses. The felt has a constant coefficient of friction. The cue can be represented in a single vector. And you can treat it all as taking place in 2 dimensions. Even the spin of the balls is only one more variable, albeit one that's more complicated than the previous ones. Of course, in early computers, simulating billiards would be very slow. And on an 8-bit computer, you'd have to do a lot of extra work because physics doesn't break down into nice discrete chunks of 256. And of course, the more balls that you have on the table, the more difficult it is to track all of those variables. The mathematical model might have been straightforward and well understood, but doing it in real time on underpowered hardware was difficult. Which is an extremely long introduction to say, Konami's Exciting Billiards was an amazing achievement. In fact, I'm just going to say it right now, this is the best 8-bit billiards game. Period. Regardless of platform. Exciting Billiards is the first of Konami's sports games for a Nintendo platform, and we're going to get a whole Exciting series for the Disk System. Exciting Billiards has basically 2 styles of play. And yes, there are 4 modes on the main menu, but they're really 2 different styles. Breakshot is the basic single-player mode, while 9-ball, rotation, and rack game will let you play a single match. If you choose any of those last 3 options, you first have to create a file for your player. Exciting Billiards keeps track of your record, and then you can set up a game with up to 4 players. And any number of those players can be AI players. There's a handful of pre-built computer opponents with different personalities. If you choose Breakshot from the main menu, then you go into the Konami Pool Club with $50 in your pocket, and your goal is to hustle up as much as you can. You'll get money for beating opponents, but during the match your opponent may also take bets on shots. When you're making your shot in pool, you have an overhead view of the table, plus an extremely useful Q's eye view of which balls you're lined up with, and an indicator telling you how you're going to strike the ball. If you hold down B, you'll see what number each ball is, and tapping B will rotate through the positions where you'll hit the ball. Hitting A will start your stroke, and that's just a power meter that goes up and down until you hit the A button. And that's really all you need to know for taking a shot, but now I have to get a bit into the weaknesses of Exciting Billiards. The first and most notable problem? All of the balls are the wrong color. The 8 ball's yellow, the 9 ball's black, or gray. Some of that comes down to limitations on how the Famicom displays colors, but it's still going to throw you off. Second, because there are no stripes and solids, the rules for the games other than 9-ball are a bit off. In rotation, which winds up being played with 10 balls instead of 15, you have to hit the lowest ball first, and then points are scored based on the number of the ball that you sink. In rack game, you just get a point for every ball that you pocket. That one is played with the full complement of 15 balls. 9-ball is the most familiar version of pool that you'll find here, and in that game the lowest ball has to be struck first, but the winner is whoever manages to sink the 9-ball. There's one more big issue with Exciting Billiards, and that's how the computer can take a very long time to think. Presumably, it's running a whole bunch of simulations of the next shot in that time, but you could be sitting there for over 15 seconds waiting for something to change. I got one more bit of trivia here. Apparently, Konami was inspired to make this game due to the movie The Color of Money, and you'll note that the characters on the front of the box bear a striking resemblance to Tom Cruise and Paul Newman from that film. Exciting Billiards didn't set the world on fire. Even in Japan, it's basically considered to be the other one when it comes to Konami's Exciting series. But this level of accuracy and presentation in a billiards game for the Famicom is legitimately amazing. You don't have infinite freedom with the ball, but you can make some pretty impressive shots. And if you want to play the game well, you will have to practice. Its biggest problems are that it doesn't simulate the rules of pool especially well, and that slow-thinking AI is a real issue. Exciting Billiards is a game that was extremely difficult to pull off at the time, even if from this perspective decades later, it doesn't seem that way.